But to the Valorians, there was something different about them, something pure. It had begun long ago, before Earth even joined the Galactic Union. In the quiet city of Lunaris, Valorian scientists were monitoring deep space frequencies. They were peaceful observers, listening to the stars for patterns, life, and meaning. Then one day a faint signal reached them. It was weak, broken, almost lost in the static of the cosmic background. It came from a small, undeveloped world. The message was old, ancient by galactic standards. The signal carried a simple recording, a human voice saying, "If anyone is out there, we send friendship. We send hope." The scientist who found it, Elian Tor, stared at the sound waves. She had listened to millions of signals, but this one was different. It had warmth. It had feeling. It was a simple call, yet behind those words she felt something powerful: sincerity. Elian decided to study the signal more deeply. She translated the language, studied Earth's history, and found the story behind the message. It had been sent by humans in the early 21st century, a time when Earth was still struggling with wars, poverty, and division. Yet even then they had looked to the stars with hope. "That is humanity," Elian whispered to herself, "a species that dreams of peace even when surrounded by conflict." Her report was shared with the Valorian Council, but they showed little interest. "It's just another primitive signal," they said. "That world will destroy itself before it ever reaches us." Elian disagreed. She saw something in humans that others did not: the spark of compassion, the courage to reach beyond themselves, and so she decided to help them. In secret, Elian created a relay satellite, an advanced communication beacon that could amplify Earth's weak signals and protect them from cosmic storms. She placed it near the edge of the solar system, hidden among asteroids. For her, it was a small act of kindness, a way to keep their fragile voice alive in the endless void. It was a quiet act. No one knew about it. No one thanked her. But that one small gesture changed the course of history. Years passed. Humanity grew. They discovered faster than light travel, built colonies on Mars, and eventually made first contact with the galaxy. Their arrival surprised many civilizations. Humans were not like the others. They were full of energy, emotion, and curiosity. They asked questions no one else asked. They explored places others feared to go. And though they were new to the stars, they carried with them something precious: the belief that kindness mattered. When Elian saw humans finally walk among the stars, she felt proud. She never told anyone about her secret act, but deep in her heart, she felt she had helped in some small way. But time moves differently for long-lived species. To Valorians, 50 human years was only a blink. Elian was now old, her once bright silver skin turning pale blue. She spent her days teaching young Valorians about science and compassion. Yet her heart grew heavy as she saw the galaxy growing darker. War was brewing again. Ancient rivalries were returning. The mighty Dravok Empire was expanding, taking worlds by force, enslaving weaker races. The Valorians tried to remain neutral, as they always had. "Peace is our way," the council said. But Elian saw the danger. The Dravok would not stop. They would come for everyone, perhaps even Earth. Meanwhile, on the human colony world of New Solus, Commander Aaron Hale was leading a relief mission. His ship, the Unity's Grace, carried medicine, food, and engineers to rebuild a Valorian outpost damaged by a recent meteor storm. Humanity and Valorians had become distant allies, though many Valorians still saw humans as reckless. When Aaron's ship entered Valorian space, the locals were cautious but respectful. They didn't expect much from the humans. Yet when the Valorian elders saw Aaron and his crew working tirelessly, repairing buildings, helping the wounded, and even sharing their food, they began to see something new. Humans didn't just bring tools. They brought spirit. That was the day Elian met Aaron Hale. She was old and frail, but when she looked at him, she saw that same spark she had once seen in the old human signal, a spark of kindness. "You remind me of something," Elian told him. "Something from long ago," Aaron smiled. "Then I hope it was something good." "It was," she said softly. "It was hope." That night, the Valorian capital glowed under twin moons. Aaron's team finished their repairs, and the outpost's power returned. Music played from the human ship, simple Earth melodies that filled the alien air with warmth. Elian stood at her window, listening. For a moment she felt peace, but in the distance, unseen by any of them, a shadow moved through the stars, the Dravok fleet. Their ships were vast and dark, shaped like blades. They were not coming for the Valorians this time. Their scanners had detected something else, a hidden beacon, ancient but powerful. Aliens' beacon. To them, it was an unknown technology, possibly a weapon. They wanted it. Within days, reports of missing ships began to spread. Valorian trade routes were silent. Then came the news. A Dravok strike force was heading directly toward the Valorian system. Panic spread. The Council called for defense, but their fleet was weak. The Valorians had not fought for centuries. Commander Aaron Hale was still there. He heard the reports and immediately contacted his superiors. "We can't just leave them," he said. "They sheltered us, trusted us. But orders from Earth were clear: do not engage. Protect your crew." Aaron looked at Elian, who stood quietly beside him. "You helped us once, didn't you?" he asked. She nodded slowly. "A long time ago when no one believed in you." "Then it's our turn," Aaron said firmly. "Humanity doesn't forget kindness." That night, Elian watched as the Unity's grace lifted off. The small human ship turned toward the stars, facing a fleet far larger than itself. It was madness, and yet it was beautiful. For the first time in centuries, Elian saw a miracle, a species willing to stand for something greater than themselves. She whispered softly, "One act of kindness returns 1,000-fold." The Unity's grace accelerated into the dark, engines blazing bright against the cold of space. The Dravok fleet was coming, and humanity was ready to meet it. The fate of 2 species, and perhaps the entire galaxy, was about to change forever. She stood before the council, her eyes glowing softly with wisdom and sorrow. "They are not here for war," she said quietly. "They are here for something I created long ago." The council members looked at her with confusion. "You mean the signal beacon?" asked one elder. "That old story of yours?" "It is no story," Elian replied. "I built a beacon centuries ago to protect the voice of a distant world, Earth. It is still active. The Dravok think it is a weapon, but it is not. It is simply a reminder of hope." "Then we must destroy it," another elder said sharply. "If it brings danger, it must be erased." Elian shook her head. "No, destroying it will not save us. The Dravok are already coming, and that beacon, it is part of who we are now. It connects us to them, our friends, the humans." The council fell silent. For the first time in years, they had to make a real choice: hide and survive, or stand and protect something greater than themselves. Meanwhile, far above the planet, Commander Aaron Hale stood on the bridge of the Unity's grace. His ship was small compared to the massive Dravok vessels, but his crew was loyal, skilled, and full of determination. Aaron looked out at the stars where the enemy fleet would soon appear. "They'll outnumber us 100 to 1, his officer said nervously. Aaron smiled faintly. "Then we'll make sure every one of them remembers humanity." He opened a channel to the Valorian Council. "This is Commander Hale of the human vessel Unity's Grace. We will engage the Dravok and give you time to prepare your evacuation." The Valorian elder appeared on the screen. "You cannot fight them. It would be suicide." Aaron shook his head. "Sometimes the right thing isn't the safe thing." Behind him, the crew began to prepare. Engineers loaded power cells into the ship's defense systems. Pilots checked the engines. And on the deck, the human flag, a symbol of unity, fluttered slightly under the ship's air currents. Elian watched from the surface as the small human ship moved into position between the Valorian world and the oncoming Dravok fleet. Her heart filled with both pride and fear. She whispered softly, "May your courage light the stars, humans." The Dravok arrived like a storm. Their ships cut through space, black and sharp as knives. Their leader, Admiral Korath, stood tall on the bridge of his command ship. His voice was cold. "Find the source of the energy signature," he ordered. "Destroy any who stand in our way." The Dravok scanners quickly detected the Unity's grace blocking their path. "A single ship?" one of the Dravok officers asked. "Humans, they dare challenge us alone?" Korath's eyes narrowed. "Then let them learn what defiance costs." 100 Dravok ships moved forward, their weapons glowing. Inside the Unity's grace, alarms began to sound. "Enemy ships locking on," shouted the navigator. "Hold formation," Aaron commanded. "Target their lead vessel. Fire only when I say." The Dravok fired first. Bright streams of plasma tore across the darkness, lighting the sky with deadly beauty. The human ship shook violently as energy blasts hit its shields. "Shields at 70%, cried the engineer. Aaron gritted his teeth. "Stay with me, people. Remember what we're fighting for." Then he gave the order. "Return fire." The human cannons fired bright blue light into the void. A single shot struck a Dravok cruiser, not destroying it but stunning it enough to halt its advance. The rest of the fleet slowed, surprised. Korath frowned. "They resist us with one ship? Impossible." But humanity had always been full of surprises. On the Valorian surface, the people watched the battle above through massive view screens. Every explosion, every flash of light filled them with fear and awe. "These humans, they fight for us," whispered a young Valorian student. "They could have run." Elian placed a gentle hand on the student's shoulder. "That is who they are. They fight not only for victory, but for what is right." For centuries, the Valorians had chosen peace by avoiding conflict. But now, as they saw a small human ship standing alone between them and destruction, something changed inside them. They no longer wanted to hide. "Commander!" shouted the communications officer. "Incoming message from the Valorian Council." Aaron opened the channel. Elian's voice came through. "Human friend, we cannot let you stand alone. We are sending support ships," Aaron smiled. "Welcome to the fight." Moments later, old Valorian patrol ships rose from the surface. Small, fragile vessels unused for decades. They were not built for war, but for exploration. Still, they flew bravely toward the Dravok fleet. "Even the oldest engines can burn bright when hearts are strong," Elian whispered. The combined human and Valorian defense line began to form. The Dravok fleet surrounded them, but something unexpected happened. The Valorians, inspired by the humans, started using creative tactics they had learned from Earth's shared data archives, maneuvers humans once used in their early space battles. It was messy, chaotic, but it worked. Several Dravok ships were forced back. On the Dravok command ship, Admiral Korath grew furious. "These creatures fight with desperation," he hissed. "They do not know when to surrender." One of his officers spoke carefully. "Admiral, perhaps we underestimated them. Their tactics are unusual." Korath slammed his clawed hand against the console. "Crush them. Destroy that human ship." The Dravok fleet focused all fire on the Unity's grace. The sky turned white with light. Aaron's ship shook violently. Panels exploded, alarms screamed. "Shields failing," shouted the engineer. "Reroute power from secondary systems," Aaron yelled back. "We hold the line." Outside, the Unity's grace was burning, its armor melting under the force of enemy fire. Yet it refused to fall. Aaron stood firm. "As long as we stand, they cannot pass." The crew cheered even as smoke filled the bridge. Humanity had faced worse odds before. They would face them again. Then something unexpected happened. The beacon, the one Elian had built centuries ago, activated on its own. Perhaps it sensed danger. Perhaps it recognized the same human signal that once echoed through space. Its light expanded, filling the darkness with a soft golden glow. The signal that once carried a human voice now grew stronger than ever. Across the system, every ship, Dravok, Valorian, and human, heard the same old message. "To anyone who hears this, we send friendship. We send hope." The simple human words echoed across the battlefield. For a moment, everything stopped. Even the Dravok ships hesitated. The voice carried warmth, a strange peace that touched something deep in every mind that heard it. Korath stared at the screen in silence. What is this?" he whispered. Elian's eyes filled with tears. "It's them, the first humans who ever spoke to the stars." Aaron listened too, his heart pounding. "It's their voice, from centuries ago." The golden light spread farther, touching distant worlds, reawakening old memories of unity and friendship across the galaxy. It was more than a signal. It was a reminder. Humanity's message of kindness had survived time, war, and silence. And now, in the darkest moment, it shone brighter than ever. The Valorians' courage grew. They charged again, fighting beside the humans. The Dravok fleet, shaken by confusion and the strange emotion they could not understand, began to retreat. Admiral Korath gave the order to withdraw. "This battle is not worth the cost," he muttered. "We will return later." But deep down he knew something had changed. The message had touched even him, though he would never admit it. As the last Dravok ship disappeared into the dark, cheers filled the human and Valorian channels. The battle was over. The Unity's grace floated silently, damaged but alive. Elian contacted Aaron. "Commander." "You did it," Aaron smiled weakly. "No, Elian, we did it." She looked at the shining beacon above. "It seems your people's kindness has repaid itself 1,000 times over." Aaron nodded. "That's what makes us human." The stars were quiet again, but they no longer felt cold. The light of hope burned in every heart that had witnessed that day. The galaxy would remember this moment, not as a war, but as a reminder that even the smallest act of kindness can change the fate of worlds. Spreading among the Valorians. Inspiration. For the first time in generations, they were not afraid. They had seen courage. They had seen sacrifice. And they had seen how one act of kindness could unite even the most different species. In the healing halls of Lunera City, Commander Aaron Hale lay on a medical bed. His arm was injured during the fight, but he smiled through the pain. Around him, Valorian healers worked with soft glowing tools, repairing what they could. Elian Tor entered quietly, her silver skin reflecting the soft blue lights of the room. She carried an old data crystal, the same one that contained the original human message. Aaron sat up slightly when he saw her. "You kept it all this time?" he asked softly. "Yes," Elian said. "It was the first voice of your people that ever reached us. The beacon only repeated what was already in this crystal. It remembered the kindness that built it." Aaron held the crystal gently. The voice that had once echoed into the void had now changed the course of history. "It feels strange," he said. "Something so small, yet so powerful." Elian smiled faintly. "That is the way of kindness. It grows when you least expect it." Outside the hospital, Valorian and human engineers worked side by side, rebuilding the planetary defenses. The Valorians were fast learners and the humans were patient teachers. A young Valorian cadet named Lyra watched the humans with curiosity. "They laugh even when they are tired," she whispered to her mentor. "Why do they always smile?" Her mentor replied softly, "Because they believe every day is another chance to make things better." That was something new for the Valorians. They had lived long lives but had forgotten how to live with passion. Now, thanks to humanity, they were beginning to remember. Far across the galaxy, other species also began to take notice. The Terran Collective, known for their strict order and emotionless logic, recorded the beacon signal and analyzed it for days. "The words hold no tactical meaning," one Terran said. "Yet, they stir reactions in our people we cannot explain." Even the Zirath nomads, wanderers who trusted no one, began to send friendly signals to nearby human colonies. "If you ever need aid," they transmitted, "the stars remember your light." The galaxy was changing, not through power but through example. But peace never lasted long. The Dravok Empire, humiliated by their defeat, gathered in secret. Admiral Korath sat in his war chamber, staring at a recording of the battle. The human voice from the beacon still echoed faintly in the background. He clenched his fists. "They think words can defeat us," he said coldly. "They think kindness is strength. A younger officer hesitated before speaking. "Admiral, many of our soldiers are asking about the signal. Some say it felt peaceful." Korath turned sharply. "Peace is weakness. The galaxy will bow to power, not feelings." But deep inside, even Korath could not completely silence the strange warmth the message had left in his mind. It had reminded him of something from long ago, something buried deep in memory before he became a soldier. Back on Arendor, the Valorian Council held a meeting. For centuries, they had stayed neutral in every conflict, but now their views were changing. Elian stood before them once again, her voice firm despite her age. "The galaxy is listening," she said. "The Dravok believe strength comes from fear, but we have seen that strength can come from compassion. The beacon has reminded every world of that." The council leader looked thoughtful. "You want us to form an alliance?" "Yes," Elian said. "An alliance of those who believe in peace, not through force but through unity. And I believe humanity should lead it." Some council members gasped. Humans were still young, still new to the stars. Could they really lead such a great task? Aaron Hale entered the room then, walking slowly but standing tall. "We don't want to lead," he said. "We just want to stand together. When one voice calls for peace, others will answer." There was a long silence. Then the council leader nodded. "Then we will call it the Golden Alliance, named after the light of the beacon." Months passed. The Golden Alliance began to form. Humans, Valorians, and several smaller species joined together. They shared technology, medicine, and knowledge. But more importantly, they shared trust. Aaron was sent as the first ambassador to the Alliance Council. Elian became his advisor. Together, they traveled to worlds that had never before opened their borders. On one journey, they visited the Chiron, a species once known for isolation. Their leader, a tall being with crystal skin, greeted them warmly. "We heard your message of hope," he said. "For centuries, we thought the galaxy was a place of greed and war. But your beacon reminded us that kindness still exists. We wish to join your cause." Aaron smiled. "Then the galaxy grows stronger today." But as the alliance grew, so did the danger. The Dravok Empire watched in silence. Their spies reported that dozens of worlds were now flying the symbol of the Golden Alliance, a golden star wrapped in a circle of light. To Korath, it was a threat. "If this continues," he said, "the age of the Dravok will end. They must be reminded who rules the stars." He began preparing for another strike, one greater than before. This time he would not only target the Valorians, he would strike at Earth itself. Ilian and Aaron soon received reports of unusual Dravok movements near human space. The Alliance Council gathered in the Valorian capital to discuss the situation. "They will come for Earth," Ilian said gravely. "The Dravok wish to break the spirit of humanity. If they destroy your homeworld, the Alliance will fall." Aaron looked determined. "Then we'll stop them before they get close. The Alliance will stand together." Ilian nodded. "You truly are your ancestors' children. They sent hope into the void, and now that hope stands tall among the stars." As preparations for defense began, a strange signal came through the beacon network. It wasn't human or Valorian, it was Dravok. "Admiral Korath to Commander Hale," the message said. "You fight for ideals that will crumble. Meet me face to face. Let us see whose belief is stronger." The council urged caution, but Aaron accepted. "Sometimes peace requires courage," he said. "If my life can save others, I'll take the risk." Elian placed a hand on his shoulder. "You remind me of that first human voice, the one that reached us across the stars." It spoke not with power, but with faith. They met on neutral ground, a barren moon between their territories. Aaron arrived with a small shuttle, while Korath landed with his guard. The air was thin, the sky dark. Korath was tall and strong, his armor gleaming black. Aaron stood before him in a simple flight suit, his eyes steady. "You could have destroyed us," Korath said. "Yet you risked your life for others. Why?" "Because that's what makes us human," Aaron replied calmly. "We believe that one act of kindness can change everything." Korath looked at him silently for a long time. Then he turned away. "Kindness does not win wars," he said finally. "But perhaps it wins something else." Without another word, he left. Aaron returned to his shuttle, uncertain what the meeting truly meant. But as he looked up at the stars, he felt something change. The Dravok had not attacked, not yet. Perhaps Korath's heart had been touched, even if he refused to admit it. Back on Arendor, Elian looked out over the city lights. The galaxy was quiet again, for now. She smiled softly. knowing that the light of the beacon still burned bright, not just in the sky but in the hearts of all who had heard it. The voice of humanity, she whispered, has become the voice of the galaxy. She closed her eyes, her heart at peace. The next chapter of history was about to begin. The celebrations, a quiet vigilance remained. Humanity had reminded the galaxy that hope must be protected, and threats like the Dravok had not disappeared. Commander Aaron Hale stood on a balcony overlooking the city. His uniform was still marked with the dust of recent skirmishes, but his eyes shone with determination. Beside him, Elyon Tor, now older but still sharp in mind, watched as young Valorians practiced fleet maneuvers in orbit. "Do you think the Dravok will attack again?" Aaron asked. Elyon shook her head slowly. "They may try, but the galaxy has changed since they last moved. They will no longer find easy targets." Humanity reminded them, and the rest of the galaxy, that kindness can be stronger than fear. Aaron nodded. "It is strange. We were never the strongest or the fastest, but somehow one act of kindness has changed everything." Elyon smiled softly. "That is the power of your species. You do not always realize it, but when humans act with courage and hope, others follow." In the orbit above, a new fleet gathered. The Golden Alliance ships had grown in number, each carrying humans and their allies trained to defend worlds. The engineers had repaired the old Valorian patrol vessels, and new ships had been built using human designs combined with Valorian technology. Young pilots, many just out of training, gazed at the fleet nervously. "We have never fought like this before," one said. Aaron placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "You are not fighting alone. Remember what brought us here. You fight because kindness matters. You fight to protect hope." The young pilot smiled faintly. "I understand now, sir. It's not just about winning, it's about standing for something greater." Meanwhile, the Dravok Empire was not idle. Though Admiral Korath had temporarily withdrawn after the encounter with Iran, his advisors pressed him to strike quickly. "They will grow too powerful if we wait," one said. "We cannot allow the Golden Alliance to spread." Korath stared out of the viewing screen at the distant systems. "Perhaps," he said slowly, "we have underestimated the humans. One act of kindness has united worlds. I see it now. But even so, the galaxy must obey power. We will strike where they are weakest." Yet for the first time, doubt crept into Korath's mind. He remembered the moment on the neutral moon when Aaron had stood before him, unarmed and unafraid. He remembered the warmth of the golden signal and how it made his mind hesitate. He had never felt hesitation before. Korath scowled. "Emotions are dangerous," he muttered. "I will not allow them to cloud judgment." Back on Arendor, the Golden Alliance Council convened. Representatives from humans, Valorians, Terrans, Zerath, and other species gathered to discuss the future. Elyon Tor addressed the council. "We have a choice," she said. "We can continue to wait and react, or we can take the initiative. We have grown strong together. We can now show the galaxy that protection and cooperation are possible." A Terran delegate spoke cautiously. "Our systems are still vulnerable. The Dravok may attack any day. How can we guarantee safety?" Aaron stood calm but resolute. "We cannot guarantee it. No one can. But we can stand together. If one system falls, the others will rise. That is what makes us strong. That is the power the humans brought, the power of hope." After a long discussion, the Council agreed to strengthen Alliance defenses and establish a rapid response fleet, a force designed to protect any member world under threat. Aaron was appointed as one of the fleet's commanders, a role he accepted with humility. In the months that followed, the Golden Alliance became a beacon of learning and progress. Humans shared technology to improve medical care across worlds. Valorians taught navigation and energy manipulation. Other species contributed their own expertise. creating a network of knowledge stronger than any empire before. On New Solus, a human colony, engineers worked to build a new academy for interstellar cooperation. Students from different planets learned together, sharing culture and knowledge. Aaron often visited, teaching young cadets about the importance of courage, ethics, and friendship. These lessons are not just about flying ships, he told them. They are about protecting what is right. The galaxy remembers acts of kindness. Never forget that. Yet peace was not eternal. Reports came in from border systems. Small Dravok scouting parties had been spotted near neutral planets. They were testing the defenses of the Golden Alliance, looking for weaknesses. Aaron and Elian studied the reports carefully. They are probing, Elian said. They want to see if fear can divide us. Aaron shook his head. It won't. The Alliance is not built on fear, it is built on trust. And trust is stronger than any weapon. The human and Valorian engineers quickly worked to strengthen planetary shields and communication networks. Their actions were not just defensive, they were a message. The Golden Alliance would not retreat. During a council meeting, news arrived of a small Dravok attack on a distant Alliance world. Ships had been destroyed, but thanks to the rapid response fleet, most civilians were safe. Aaron addressed the council. This is the moment we show what the Alliance truly means. The Dravok think they can spread fear. Instead, we spread hope. We help the world that needs us, no matter how small. That is how we repay kindness, Elian nodded. Just as your ancestors sent hope into the void, you now carry it to others. One act of kindness can change the galaxy, not just once, but again and again. In private, Elian spoke to Aaron. Do you realize what you have done? She asked softly. He looked at her, tired but smiling. I just followed what humans always do. When someone needs help, we try. When someone is in danger, we stand. That's it? Elian's eyes glimmered. No, that is everything. That is why the beacon worked. That is why the Alliance exists. You humans made a ripple in time, and now it flows through the stars. Aaron looked out at the horizon. The twin moons of Arendor glowed softly. I hope the ripple never ends, he said quietly. Elian placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. It will not. As long as people remember, kindness will echo forever. The Dravok Empire, meanwhile, prepared for a larger campaign. Admiral Korath studied the Golden Alliance's movements carefully. He could not understand why so many worlds had chosen to join a coalition led by humans, but he could feel the change, the shift in morale, in courage, in determination. The humans' simple act of hope had created something stronger than fear. Korath clenched his fists. We will see how far their hope carries them, he said grimly. We will see if kindness can survive war. And so the galaxy held its breath. On Arendor, the people celebrated a festival of lights in honor of the Golden Alliance. Humans, Valorians, and allied species came together. Music filled the streets. Lanterns floated into the sky. Children ran laughing through the gardens. Elian watched the celebration quietly, her heart full. The beacon is more than a signal, she whispered. It is a promise. That one small act, one act of kindness toward humanity, has changed the galaxy forever. Aaron joined her, looking up at the glowing lights. It's only the beginning, he said. We've shown what is possible. Now we have to keep showing it every day. Elian smiled. Yes, and the stars will remember. The golden light of the beacon shone softly above, a reminder that even in the darkest times, hope could guide the way. The dawn of the Golden Alliance had arrived, and with it the galaxy would never be the same. Reports had arrived that the Dravok Empire was once again moving, this time with a much larger fleet. Their target was not only Valorian space, but also human colonies. Admiral Korath believes we are weak, Aaron said quietly to his second-in-command, Lieutenant Mara Quinn. He does not understand that our strength is not just in our ships but in our people. Mara nodded. It's not just courage, sir. It's belief. Every world that joins the Alliance believes in what we stand for. Aaron smiled faintly. And that is something no fleet can destroy. Meanwhile, the Dravok fleet moved with precision, cutting through space with dark grace. On their command ship, Admiral Korath studied reports of the Golden Alliance's movements. He was frustrated. Every attack he planned had been anticipated and countered. Every probe met with coordinated resistance, and every encounter revealed something strange. His soldiers hesitated, confused by the courage of their opponents. Korath clenched his hands. This is not just strategy, this is something else, he muttered. He stared at the golden beacon signal that had spread across the galaxy. Even now, the voice of humanity echoed faintly, carried on energy waves, reminding every listener of hope. For the first time in his life, Korath doubted. He did not understand why the simple act of kindness from long ago had created such a movement, but he could feel its effect. It unsettled him, made him pause. Back on Arendor, the Golden Alliance Council convened. Representatives from humans, Valorians, Terran, Zerath, and other allied species gathered in the central chamber. Every voice spoke with determination. Alayan Tor, standing quietly at the side, addressed the council. The Dravok will come, she said softly. But they will not find us as we were before. Humanity has reminded us all that courage is stronger than fear. The beacon's light has created a ripple across the galaxy. That ripple is now a wave, and that wave will protect us. Aaron stepped forward. We do not fight for revenge. We fight to protect life, to protect hope, and to ensure that kindness is never forgotten. Every world that stands with us today is proof that one small act can ripple across the stars. The council nodded in agreement. For the first time in centuries, there was no fear, only unity. The Dravok fleet entered Golden Alliance space. The sight of the combined Alliance fleet startled even seasoned observers. Ships of all shapes and sizes formed a massive line of defense. Humans piloted smaller, agile ships weaving between massive Valorian vessels. Terran warships fired with precision, and the Zerath added swift strike crafts that could evade even the fastest Dravok attacks. Aaron took the bridge of his flagship and addressed his crew. Remember what brought us here. Every person, every ship, every world is counting on us. Stand firm, stand together, and remember, kindness is our weapon. Courage and hope are our shields. The crew cheered, a sound that echoed across the ship, filling every heart with energy. The first encounter was fierce. The Dravok fired their plasma weapons, dark streaks of energy lighting the void. The Golden Alliance ships countered, their shields glowing with coordinated strength. Yet even in the midst of battle, something extraordinary happened. Across the Alliance fleet, energy waves from the ancient beacon, now enhanced by human technology, spread. The same message of hope that had once reached the Valorians centuries ago now pulsed through space, touching every mind that heard it. To anyone who hears this, we send friendship. We send hope. Even some Dravok soldiers felt it. Confusion rippled through the enemy lines. They hesitated, unsure of their orders. Their morale faltered. And in that hesitation, the Golden Alliance found their advantage. Aaron led the first strike, guiding smaller human craft through the Dravok defenses to disable their weapons. Pilots executed daring maneuvers taught to them by lessons from Earth's early space battles. Valorian ships provided energy shields and support, creating openings for attacks. Elian watched from Arendor via the quantum communication link. They are not just fighting, she whispered. They are showing the galaxy what it means to care. One act of kindness centuries ago has grown into this moment. Even distant worlds felt the ripple. Messages of support and reinforcements arrived from newly allied species who had once remained neutral. Humanity's original act of kindness had inspired countless others to join the fight for hope, Admiral Korath observed from his flagship. His eyes narrowed. The humans and their allies were not just resisting, they were leading. His own fleet faltered under the unexpected coordination and morale. He felt something strange. A grudging respect for a species he had once dismissed as primitive. Korath gritted his teeth. They fight not with power, but with belief, he said. Impossible. Yet they move as one. How can this be? For the first time, Korath realized that strength was not measured only in weapons or numbers, but in unity and courage. That realization unsettled him deeply, and it created a small opening that would change the course of the battle. As the fight continued, Aaron's ship faced Korath's flagship directly. He sent a simple message: "We do not wish to destroy you. Lay down your arms. Choose to stand with us and the galaxy can be stronger together." Korath laughed bitterly. "Your words cannot stop the Dravok Empire?" Aaron smiled. "Perhaps not, but our words remind everyone else why we fight. And sometimes a reminder is enough to change the world." In that moment, something extraordinary occurred. Thousands of Alliance ships surged forward, pressing the advantage while Dravok ships, confused and shaken, began to retreat. Korath's fleet broke apart, the ripple of hope overpowering the shock and fear he had hoped to instill. After the battle, the Golden Alliance fleets regrouped. Casualties were minimal, thanks to careful coordination and the courage of the smaller species who had joined. Aaron walked among his crew, praising every pilot, engineer, and soldier. This was not just a victory of ships, he told them. It was a victory of belief, courage, hope, and the proof that kindness, yes, even a small, centuries-old act, can change the course of history. The Alliance leaders agreed. What had begun as a single human signal, a message of hope from a planet still young in the galaxy, had grown into a force that united worlds, saved civilizations, and even altered the heart of an enemy. Elian Tor stood once more on Arendor, looking at the golden beacon high above. The light glowed gently, echoing across space, carrying the voice that had started it all. She whispered softly, "One act of kindness can change the galaxy forever." Beside her, Aaron placed a hand on her shoulder, "And it will continue to change it. Every day, every action, every choice to help another being. It all ripples across the stars. Humanity did not just send hope centuries ago. We gave the galaxy a reason to believe in itself." Elian smiled, tears in her eyes. "The stars will remember." In the months that followed, peace spread across the galaxy. Worlds that had been isolated or afraid now reached out to the Golden Alliance, seeking knowledge, friendship, and collaboration. Trade flourished, education blossomed, and the ripple of hope that began with one simple human voice continued to grow. Even the Dravok Empire changed. While Korath remained defiant, he was forced to consider the idea that strength could come from cooperation, not fear. And for the first time, a seed of doubt had been planted in the heart of a conqueror. On New Solus, children of many species learned together in a new academy, studying history, science, and ethics. They learned about the first signal humans had sent to the stars, and how it had led to the creation of the Golden Alliance. "Humans are special," one student said, "because they cared. They acted when they could have done nothing." "Yes," another replied. "One small act changed everything." And the galaxy, vast and endless, seemed to glow a little brighter. As Elian and Aaron looked at the stars, they knew this was only the beginning. The ripple of hope would continue, touching new worlds, inspiring new generations, and proving once and for all that even the smallest acts of kindness could echo across the galaxy and change the course of history. The beacon shone golden above them, a reminder that the universe was full of possibilities, full of life and full of hope. Humanity had reached for the stars with a simple act of kindness, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The ripple had become a wave, and that wave carried the promise of a brighter, united future for all beings across the stars.